Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Scumdogs Kennel. I'm your host, Chris Williams, and I have another great show planned for us. We're going to be looking at flying humanoids and other weirdness in the skies. But while we wait for people to other weirdness in the skies. But while we wait for people to gather in the chat, let me go off and show some artwork off from my own upcoming graphic novel, Scumdogs. Okay. Here's my extreme 90s cover. This cover I did to harken back to the comic books of the 90s. It looks pretty good, huh? This comic book stars my characters, the Scumdogs, and they're fighting their arch enemies, they're enemies in the Space Forces. Well, you see, my main character is Death Mug fighting his arch enemy, Buick Starpoon. The Scumdogs, well, the name of my book is a parody book. It parodies cartoons we all know and love. Cartoons we see on Saturday mornings from the 80s. And the title characters, the Scumdogs themselves, well, they're supervillains out to take over the world. See, in the future, what they are, the Scumdogs were, well, athletes competing in the Scumdog Sports. The Scumdog Sports is sporting events held with superhuman athletes, or rather superhumanly powerful monsters as the athletes. They're called scum and dogs because they trade in their humanity for superpowers. So you get it, because they're scum and dogs for doing that, for basically gaining superpowers for money, you know. So not exactly the nicest guys around, because, well, they're not. They're not human anymore. They're more like today's athletes. You know how jerky they can be? Well, give them superpowers and make them monsters, and you get the idea. Now, my main character is Death Mug, the purple guy with the metal mask, and his archenemy is Buick Starpoon, the guy with the pink pompadour hair and the hair over there. Notice the uniform he's wearing, and he went on this cover with a similar uniform to Buick Starpoon as part of his team in the Space Forces. Now, Death Mug is a parody of various villains from 80s cartoons. He's arrogant, overblown, never admits he's wrong, and always thinks he's the greatest guy in the room. He's also the guy with the metal mask, and he's got aspects from characters and villains from 80s cartoons. He's purple like the Shredder from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and he's got that metal man. And he's got other aspects as well. He fires energy from his eyes and stuff like that. But mostly he's an overblown, egotistical jerk. He's also got a skull face like Skeletor from He-Man and stuff like that. Looks pretty good. He's think of him like a combination of the various villains from 80s cartoons, like just drawn up, and basically you can see aspects that will remind you of those guys from when you were watching these cartoons on Saturday morning in the 80s. And as I said, he's purple like the Shredder from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Get the idea. He's also a parody of the villains from G.I. Joe, mainly the main villains from who led Cobra and stuff like that, like Cobra Commander. Think of him, you see it in his mask as well. Pretty good. He's got a metal mask that's silver like Cobra Commander's, and he's got gold on him like Serpentor from G.I. Joe as well. While his enemy Buick Starpoon is basically a G.I. Joe parody. He's mostly a parody of Duke from G.I. Joe. But he's also a parody of such space hero characters as, James T. Kirk from Star Trek, Captain Kirk, or Zap Brannigan, or Buzz Lightyear, but mostly like Buck Rogers and stuff like that. In fact, let's go look at, but because he's a G.I. Joe parody, that means he has a military specialty. Buick Starpoon's military specialty is that he's a captain in the Space Forces. While this guy over here, who's in a similar uniform to Buick Starpoon, his name is Roadhog. His military specialty is that he's an army guy. He's just, before he joined the Space Forces, he was, part of the army. And this bald guy with a gun down here in the blue uniform, his name is Beach Pounder. His military specialty is that he's a Marine, just another Marine. Well, this guy back here in the red uniform firing off his weapons at the enemy, the guy driving that vehicle back there, the guy in the red uniform, his name is Blast Tank. His military specialty is that he's a heavy vehicle specialist, otherwise known as a tanker. You get the idea there. Now, this cover is one of 3 different variant covers you'll be able to back when my Indiegogo goes live. Okay? By the way, hit that like button for me because it helps me fight the algorithm, as well as share this video out on social media. Share it out on Twitter, share it out on Facebook. Here we have Girl Friday, who's basically the second in command on the Wild Rangers. That's the name of Buick Starpoon's team in the Space Forces. She was put on the Wild Rangers to basically, mainly because while the Wild Rangers are heroes who save the universe from the scumdogs, they're just highly destructive idiots. Their idea of saving the world is basically burning it down so the scumdogs can't take it. So her superiors in the Space Forces, well, knowing this, basically put Girl Friday as the second in command of Buick Starpoon, and her job is basically to babysit him. And she hates her job because she thinks her career in the military is over because she's basically just a babysitter. Now let's look at Death Mug's henchmen, because that's because in all 80s cartoons, the main villain would have henchmen and they'd be total idiots. The blue guy, and these are my idiots. The blue guy with the top hat is Murdermouth, and the pink guy down here is Sloppy. They follow Death Mug's orders, but they're complete morons, and they're a parody of every villain, every henchman from an 80s cartoon. Here we have Hair Male Doctor. He's a parody of Dr. Mindbender from G.I. Joe, a mad scientist. But my mad scientist who's just been crossed over with a hair male musician because I thought that'd be awesome to have as a villain. He thinks of all of the gadgets and machines the scumdogs use to try and take over the universe. But he does it he just does it. Here we'll look at Miss Breasty Melons, who's basically a parody of the Baroness from G.I. Joe. But unlike the Baroness, she's a party girl who wants to have fun. She only became a supervillain just to have fun. There you see my characters. These are the characters you'll be able to back on my Indiegogo when it goes live. It's not live yet on Indiegogo, my graphic novel Scumdogs, but it will be because I'm still working on a book. But keep your eye. But basically you can't. But basically, wait a bit longer and you'll be able to back this book and read it, and you'll love it. Let's see, anything else? I'll show you anything else to hear. Looks about good. Let's exit out of these, and we'll look at some Flying Humanoid and other flying weirdness. Other sky weirdness. Maybe I should have done a better name. Maybe I'll rename this after this live stream after it's done. But let's go over here. Ooh, Dr. Coffin Nails. What? I'm 100% back in Scumdogs. Thank you, Dr. Coffin Nails, and thank you for checking in, and thank you for Thank you for watching the Scumdogs Kennel. We have 4 likes already. Now, as I said, I was going to look at Flying Humanoids and other sky weirdness. Maybe I should have put other aerial weirdness. I'll do that or maybe another name. But right now, let's look at some Indiegogos, or at least take a quick look at them. Let's see if any new Indiegogos up. Lilith Series Book 3 Despair. Her fall may be too much for Lilith to bear. It's already made $63. It's got 30 days left. 3rd issue of the series, not bad. Take a look at that. But let me go over here first. Ooh, Viking Wolf Book 1, Mark Paulton, Emerson Rugg, the most metal comic. Okay, let's take a look at Viking Wolf Book 1. Oh, I like this. Looks pretty good. The artwork looks pretty good. Yeah, this is good book artwork for this book here. I like what I'm seeing here. Yeah. Okay, let's see. You can back this book for, well, $25. You have a variety of different covers to back as well. All of them looking very good. All right. Rated mature for gore, violence, and sexuality. Viking Wolf is a horror fantasy that at its heart is the story of a son's love for his father. Prince Gunther defends the Moonshire with the help of the Bloodhammer, the most powerful weapon in the universe that just so happens to be powered by the blood of its enemies. When his father is kidnapped by Prince Gunnar sets out to find him, but along the way unearths the truth behind the Bloodhammer and his father's dealings with the Toll Man. His quest takes him to Earth, where he is bonded with an unsuspecting and unwilling human. Travis's beautiful artwork by Dalton highlights the tale written. Looks pretty good. And the artwork in this book looks damn good. Okay, you get the idea here. That's Viking Wolf Book 1. It's made $5,411. It's got, 30 days left. It's made quite a bit of money already. Not bad. All in one day, no less. Let's go back it on Indiegogo. All right, we looked at that. Something like that. Any other books up? Go down here. What else to look at? Doesn't look too bad. Fatal has made $95,000. Rainbow the Brute has made $429,219. Not too bad there. Chrono Mechanics is still making money. It's made $52,709. It's also very good. All right. Let's go over here. And we looked at that. Maybe I should go and look at... Maybe I could look at Viking Wolf Book 1. I'd like to look at the trailer real quick. Well, in fact, let's go look at some. Let's look at some Flying Humanoids stories. I said the bizarre Flying Humanoids. Let's see down here. Flying Humanoids: The Dark Side. Let's take a look at this. Let's see. For my first article this week, I thought I would do something a bit different, namely a review of the lecture I attended just past weekend. It was given by a good friend and fellow seeker of strange creatures, Ken. He drove up to the Dallas-Fort Worth, Texas area early Sunday morning from his home to speak at the monthly meeting of a local group. All right. The subject of Ken's lecture was his latest book, Encounters with Flying Humanoids, which, as its title suggests, is an in-depth study of the wide and varied range of bizarre winged human-like creatures, with Mockman being without any doubt the most famous example. I reviewed Ken's book here a couple of months ago, but there's another reason I want to highlight it today, and that is, as Ken spelled out time and again in his illustrated presentation on Sunday, the many and disturbing occasions upon which encounters with winged humanoids have seemingly provoked immediate and sometimes lasting bouts of ill health or disaster, or even both at the same time. Indeed, it's almost as if these nightmarish entities have the literal ability to infect us in some weird way, unsettling, manner, not just with disease and illness, but also rather disturbingly with what might be called near endless bad luck. How precisely they do that and why are very different matters. As Ken's lectures made abundantly clear, however, crossing paths with the weird winged things of our world can be profoundly dangerous. Of course, most readers of the mysterious universe will be aware of how December 1967, the sightings of Mockman culminated in the collapse of the town's Silver Bridge, which spanning the Ohio River, and that led to the tragic drowning of dozens of people. But as Ken's words demonstrate, this is just one example of many where disaster has followed the sighting of a flying humanoid. As a perfect example, Ken noted that in the evening of September 12, 1952, all hell broke loose in the small town of Flatwood, Virginia, when something paid its people a terrible visit. Chief among the witnesses were Mr. Kathleen May, It looks like we're going to be talking about the Flatwoods Monster again, huh? This part of it. Let's get into it, huh? By the way, and let's wonder, what are these flying humanoids? What are they? What could they possibly be, really? Are they aliens or something else? Something that we can't comprehend. What could they possibly be? I have a few ideas. I think there are things that might be, some of them are from this world, and some of them might be from beyond this world, maybe from another universe or, well, from space. But as I said, maybe just from another universe. Let's see. Witnesses where Miss Kathleen May, a National Guardsman named Eugene Lemon, a group of excited teenagers, well, and one and all tentatively headed out together to the darkness-filled scene of the action, where they encountered nothing less than a giant, brightly lit creature with a head that seemed somewhat cool, howl-like. As a showering array of flashing, arcing lights surrounded the beast, its glowing fairy eyes stared right in the direction of the group, and its penetrating predatory style, one might suggest, not surprisingly, as the monstrosity began to move towards them in gliding fashion and above the ground, they fled down the hill like definitive wildfire. But as Ken noted in his lecture, when the group finally made it to the home of Miss May, a number of the young boys began to vomit, as did Lemon's dog, which tragically died only a couple of days later. Some might suggest that such a reaction, even the death of the dog, may have been down to fear and nothing else. It was not, however, an isolated incident. Moreover, there seems to be a distinct pattern to such reports, and it's a pattern that extends from the distant past to the present day. Part of Ken's research. It could be radiation sickness. The dog was just weaker, so it died a few days later, but the kids basically recovered, as I understand. Research has focused upon a beast known as the Scree, a gigantic black bird-like creature that loomed into view during the Scotland's Battle of Culloden Moor of 1746, which more than 15,000 Jacobite soldiers lost their lives. In addition, Ken showed this of Native American lore, a huge owl-like beast, the manifestation of which is seen as an omen of death. Then there was, as Ken revealed, the Gamutas of Deathbat, Mexico, Central America. Well, the Gamutas, Ken revealed, whose translated name speaks for itself in the fatal stakes, and demonstrated that such reports are not steeped in the past. There in 2006, of the Man-Bat of Wisconsin. In his lecture, Ken noted that the affair of the Man-Bat of Wisconsin. In his lecture, Ken noted that the witnesses were a father and son that on the night of September 26, 2006, an encounter with H.P. Lovecraft himself would have been proud of, involved the sighting of a man-sized beast that was part human, part bat, and which displayed large leather-like wings and yellow eyes. It was terrifying, violent creature that dive-bombed the car in which the two were traveling toward the town of Holman. Profound note, as Ken highlighted in the immediate aftermath, both father and son became violently ill and had to pull the car over to the side of the road to vomit. Then there was the matter of England's Alamance, where Ken addressed quite deeply, and which was investigated by our mutual friend John Dorrans of his book The Alamance and Others. Although John himself never personally encountered the red-eyed Mothman-like monster, every time he investigated the creature and its infernal actions, he found himself suffering from all manner of physical ailments and runs of misfortune and disaster, to the point where he was forced to walk away from the Alamance investigation. Okay. By the way, folks, hit that like button for me. Oh, I should also basically be doing this, shouldn't I? Let's do that and do this. Hit that like button for me and basically, hit that like button for me and share this video on social media, will ya? Because it really helps me fight the algorithm. And please leave me some more chats, because I love to hear from you guys. That's why I'm basically reading these right here, so I can check out the chats and basically keep up with you. All right. Then there's the English, right? Yeah. He had to get away from the investigation, and he had to get away from the investigation. And these are just a few of the cases in which Ken referred in his presentation, in which negatively and health-related issues were noticeably present. Interestingly, during the course of the question and answer session that followed his lecture, Ken revealed that although he believed that many of the so-called cryptids of unknown animals of our planet are of a normal flesh and blood nature, he concludes that the flying humanoids are something very different. Something far more, different, more paranormal in nature. While we may not really have a full understanding of what they are and B, the motivations, there is one thing that can be said for a fair degree of certainty. And what is that certainty, huh? What could that possibly be? Honestly, it's very entertaining as well. What could it possibly be? What do you think, folks? Leave me a few chats and keep watching. Let's see over here. Yeah, hit that like button. As I said, just leave me a few chats. Look at. Sorry about that. That was an accident. Screwed up again there. As I said, we'll look at some more flying humanoids, or maybe we'll look at some other stories of other sky weirdness. I need it like that, like the. Could look at the other UFOs, best Roswell incident, best signs of UFOs. Could look at a few UFO stories. There's definitely weirdness. There's also other things as well we can look at. Damn it! There was a story here I was going to look at. Where are you? It's about flying and stuff like that. Did the church earthquake unleash demonic? The black mummy ring of UFO of Poughkeepsie. Damn it. Where are you? Let's try this again. Don't worry, folks. Don't go away just yet. We still have more stories to look at of flying weirdness and stuff like that. Damn it, where are you? I'm looking for this. Basically, there are other UFO waves, Roswell incidents. Was it over here that I saw that story? All right. Where are you? Here we are. Plane disappearance. Where did all these planes and people vanish to? Let's take a look at this story. Well, I might have read this story before. If I did, I'm sorry. But we'll look at this real quick because it looks interesting. And by the way, hit that like button for me, will you, folks? It really helps me fight. It really helps me. Most of us are aware of the mystery of Flight MH370 and the other rather unnerving fact that its whereabouts are still unknown. As unprecedented as that particular episode may be, some of the fact is that flying craft simply vanish, from our skies, relatively speaking, at an alarming rate. There are various theories as to what may be happening in the genetic atmosphere of the planet's skies, some of which we'll look at in a little more depth later, ranging from incidents with UFOs to secret portals to scooping the aircraft and its occupants to another dimension to who knows where. Before we look at some of these incidents in more detail, check out let's look at this. The 5 missing planes of Flight 19, perhaps one of the strangest instances of planes seemingly vanishing into thin air, but this Flight 19 would be the fact that Avenger aircraft disappeared over the area known as the Bermuda Triangle, an area known for an unexplainable phenomenon. And disappearance leads to people to consider such outlandish notions when other similar events occur. On December 5th, 1945, five Avenger torpedo bombers embarked on their mission, Flight 19, which was nothing more than a standard patrol and return run. Yeah, we've talked about this story before and stuff. How these 5 planes basically disappeared, how they basically were seen and stuff like that, how they said they couldn't find the ground and stuff. At least transmissions coming from these guys say that they couldn't see the ground. And that basically people spotted their planes over Miami or so like that before they finally disappeared. No one knows what happened to them. Shortly after takeoff, however, each of the planes would begin to suffer problems with their navigation equipment, so much so and so disorienting was the experience they were soon low on fuel due to the constant adjustments. Records from the transmissions show that there was a decision to abandon their planes when the fuel ran out. The whereabouts of both the planes and any of the 14 pilots is still a mystery. And a further twist, a macabre affair when a rescue plane ventured out to locate any of the signs of missing squadron vanished along with the entire 13-strong crew. Yeah, the rescue plane, vanished as well with its 13-strong crew. Oh. That is bad. The Star Tiger and the Star Ariel disappearance over Bermuda. On 30th December 1948, British South American Airlines, or South American craft Star Tiger, vanished in the Bermuda area. 31 people vanished with it, although there were strong winds that evening that both pilots were experienced and should have been able to navigate them. No wreckage ever surfaced. The plane vanished in the early hours somewhere between Santa Maria and Bermuda. What's more, there was no distress call pilot at any time. Almost exactly a year later, on January 1949, Star Ariel aircraft along with 20 people disappeared while flying the Bermuda Triangle. As before, no wreckage or debris of the craft, has been found. The flight itself between Bermuda and Kingston in Jamaica took place in excellent conditions and visibility. Whether of consequence or not, the plane was flying at a particular high altitude. After last contact at a little after 9:40 a.m., the plane simply disappeared. There was no indication of distress from the plane at any stage. Might the time of year have played a part in each plane's disappearance? Although this is pure speculation on our part, conditions almost atmospheric or otherwise, be responsible for whatever did cause the plane. Sorry, for all intents and purposes, simply vanish off the face of the earth. For example, sorry about trying to pronounce that word back there. Let's get back to this. Less than 5 years earlier, December 45, the same relative window was the case of Flight 19 we examined above. The Stardust disappearance. Although we seemingly know what happened, and over half a century later, the case of the British South American Airways plane Stardust is very much worth including here, not at least as it might offer clues. By the way, folks, hit that like button for me because it helps me fight the algorithm so more people can see my content. And, that means I'll be able to bring my graphic novel Scumdogs to you all the sooner, as well as hit that bell and hit the part of the bell that gives you all future notifications for my videos, as well as please share this video out on Twitter and Facebook. Let's get back to this. Clues to other planes that disappeared without a trace and remain missing. August 2nd, 1947. The plane in question left the airport in Argentina, destined for Santiago. However, shortly after takeoff, somewhere over the Andes mountain range, it disappeared. The last communication from the plane came in Morse code and concerned the arrival time and stated ETA Santiago, 17 hours. All right. Well, the last word confused all who investigated. The case, and still does, it would lead to many over the years claiming that the aircraft had encountered a UFO and had possibly been abducted. There were other claims of possible intentional sabotage. However, no proof of evidence for these ever surfaced. A coordinated search of the area took place, but no wreckage of bodies were ever recovered. In 2000, however, 53 years after the disappearance, claimers in the region happened upon several significant pieces of wreckage, as well as 3 of the ice-preserved bodies of the missing Stardust flight. This would lead investigators to suggest the plane had crashed in bad weather incidentally into the mountain. This likely created an avalanche that buried the wreckage and those on board until the chance discovery over 50 years later. The whereabouts of the remaining crew members, however, are still missing. The Virgin Flight 967. Very strange weirdness in the sky we're talking about. All these planes just disappearing. A few of these we've talked before about, but we're just going to cover them in this article as well. But we'll continue having fun because a few of these stories I hadn't heard before. Although there was no real suggestions or conspiracies surrounding it, the cargo of the doomed Varek Flight 967 is perhaps of particular interest, given it was carrying over 50 paintings worth over $1 million by the artist Mockman, Japanese Brazilian artist. Oh yeah, I read this story before. They never found the flight or the paintings and stuff like that. It's very strange. The Douglas plane disappearance in the late 1940s and early 50s. I might have read this article before. Let's maybe go to some other weirdness. Maybe look at some more flying humanoid stories. Because the more I read it, the more I think I read this article before. But it didn't matter because we were covering flying weirdness tonight. So maybe look for Let me do this real quick. Yeah, let me do this real quick. Let's try, well, air. Let's see. Let's see, aerial. It's going to do flying weirdness. Let's try sky. So that's AIRD. Sky weirdness. What's just that? Sky weirdness. Let's try that. Best UFO signs like that. We could look at the 1950 UFO wave. We could look at that. Might be the 2008 UFO wave of Bucks County, Pennsylvania. Maybe we'll look at that. We could look at that. We could. Or we could look at some more flying cryptid stories. Trying to find other weirdness in the skies. Let's see. I have a few ideas here. Best signs of videos and cameras of 2020. Well, I could do that. Let's take a look at this. Best UFO signs of 2020 and stuff. That's pretty weird here. As we did last year, we can document the best UFO and alien encounters as they happen each month throughout 2020. So we make sure you bookmark this past and check back at the start of each month to see the best of what has been happening in the UFO community. As well as the best actual sightings themselves. We will examine any relevant or appropriate news items in relation to the UFO community. And here's what we will start in January 2020 roundup. Maybe we'll look at the 2021 UFO thing. All right. Let's see. But first, maybe we'll take a few look at this. The final month of 2020 was particularly busy in terms of UFO sightings. This after the several appearances of bizarre monoliths in various places around the planet, from sightings of multiple apparent spacecraft keeping pace with the International Space Station, to an orb-like UFO, orb-like, that actually stopped the launch of SpaceX rocket. Sightings of UFOs have come back thick and fast in the run-up to Christmas. It would appear that UFO sightings shows no signs of slowing down as we look forward into 2021. The next 12 months hold remains to be seen. The final 4 weeks of 2020, though, as we shall see, have been awash with strange objects in the skies overhead. First of all, though, we will turn our attention to two sightings that occurred during the summer, but have only recently been reported. Curved UFO moved over Pinetown, South Africa. Maybe. Curved UFO. Oh, look at that. Photo of strange curved white streaked object. Look at that thing there, huh? Photos of strange pattern of lights. Strange lights over Modesto, California. At around the same time with the above saying, the time in Modesto, California. Pardon me. At around the same time as the above saying, this time in Modesto, California, in the early hours of 13th August, a bizarre pattern of lights appeared in the night skies. The witness managed to capture a picture of the strange aerial sighting. However, that is all that is currently known of the sighting, as very little further information was given was recently reported. The picture is interesting, though, and what could very well be the light of a solid object. In fact, just under the green light appeared to be the outline of such an object. Let's see the photo. Let's see this. Oh, look at that, huh? That's very weird looking. By the way, let me do this and go back over here. We have, oh, yeah, that's why. All right, let's go over here. Oops. Let me try that again. Strange metallic object over Burton, Oregon, December. I'll go read this a bit. At around 6 a.m., 2nd December, Bremerton, Oregon, a local resident was diving to work when they noticed a strange white metallic object hovering in the morning sky. Realizing he was looking at something truly strange, the witness, went for their phone and quickly took a photograph of it. We can see from the picture that whatever it is, it very much appears to have a metallic surface, which is reflecting the early morning sun or moon. Let's take a look at this. Oh, look at that thing. That reminds me of something I've seen. That reminds me of stuff I've seen. That reminds me of. All right. Yeah, which is reflecting the early morning sun. The witness also stated that it was most definitely not the planet Venus, which he could locate and see at the same time as the object. What's more, the object was too big for a planet. The witness also stated that there was a triangular shape to the object. However, could it perhaps be due to the object rotating as it hovers? It is certainly a very intriguing picture, which you can see below. Okay, not bad. Let's go over here. Let's see about maybe looking at some 2021 UFO stuff. So let's do this. UFOs 2021. Here we are. Signs of UFOs 2021. We start 2021 very much the same way we began, the last year. 2020, with an apparent expectation of huge releases of information combined with the admission of prior knowledge with the existence of UFOs, alien life. Yeah. Of course, whether that is, they're basically, disclosure. Of course, whether this disclosure arrives remains to be seen. However, signs of strange lights and objects in our planet skies. UFOs and alien life, huh? Of course, whether this disclosure arrives remains to be seen. However, signs of strange lights and objects on our planet skies have continued over the last 4 weeks. So let's get into these stories then. Let's see. April. April has not only witnessed multiple signs of strange objects and lights in the sky, but there have also been several intriguing releases of information, one of which we'll examine shortly. Signs themselves, however, are continued in abundance. All manner of objects and orbs. There have also been several UFO incidents that have taken place in the previous months, and in some cases the previous years, that have come to light over the last few weeks. As usual, we will look at these before moving on to the most recent signs of strange objects in our collective skies. First, though, we will look at the fallout from one of the claims of UFO sightings the previous month at Baker Mayfield. Baker Mayfield insists he saw what was real, what he saw. Perhaps one of the strangest reports of the previous months was that NFL quarterbacker Baker, who very publicly claimed to have witnessed a UFO while returning home from dinner. Over the last few weeks, as we might expect, the Cleveland Browns signal caller has been asked several times of his sighting, and Mayfield has not backed down from his initial report on social media. Not only would he confirm to the media via Zoom that the UFO he witnessed was real, he said, but he was also a firm believer in UFOs and Sasquatch. He would also elaborate. He had elaborate. He was glad the Navy finally confirms more pictures. Now everybody doesn't think I'm crazy. Mayfield is certainly sticking to his version of events, and what's more, it appears there are several other witnesses in the night in question who have corroborated the sighting. Okay. One of the most exciting pieces of news came early April and was in fact the confirmation that Mayfield was speaking of the leaked photographs in question were captured in 2019 were taken from the rear of F-8. All right. Well, look at that. Look at that thing. Look at that. Leaked photographs, question, were captured in 2019 were taken from the rear of F-18 fighter jet. The 3 pictures were published courtesy of veteran UFO investigator and researcher George Knapp. 6th April, they show several strange pictures labeled Acorn, Spear, and Blimp. Spear clearly shows strange aerial vehicles, unlike anything terrestrial. Look at these things. Yeah, look at this. The Department of Defense Identified Aerial Phenomenon Task Force. Well, let's see what they have to say. I can confirm the reference photos. Well, this is what they're writing here. This is what the task force has written and stuff. I can confirm the written referenced photos and videos were taken by Navy personnel. The UP, has included these incidents in their ongoing examinations. Okay, there's that as well. It is thought that the pictures were taken over a 32-minute period in March 2019 off the coast of the United States and have been confirmed to have definitely 3 separate objects. Initial suspicions that the objects might have been high-altitude air balloons were also dismissed when official records showed no such activity in the region at the time the picture was taken. Well, the confirmation is still far from short in the long-awaited disclosure of just what these strange objects are. They are, where they are coming from. Where could they be coming from? From the admission is certainly a significant step forward. There's that as well. So what do you think, folks? We looked at this stuff and it looks like, definitely looks like there's strange things out there. Most definitely. Let's see, maybe look at some more flying humanoid. Oops. We did this, do this. We have people watching. Bianca, hello, Aduz. Aloha, Bianca fights the zombies. Thank you for checking in. Let's see, maybe look at some more flying humanoid stories over here. Flying humanoids, a lecture reviewed. Yeah, let's look at this. On Saturday, November 18th, a good maiden cryptozoologist Ken Garrett drove up from the San Antonio, Texas. Following afternoon, that said was Flying Humanoids. Is this the same book? Turned to be a very informative gig. If you know Ken, you also be aware that he's very much in the flesh and blood camp when it comes. The Flying Human is also real. This is that these. I think I just read this story. Sorry. Flying humanoids, the dark side. Encounters of flying humanoids. Bizarre encounters with outlandish humanoids in flying suits. Winged humanoids that soar across the skies of the UK. Should I look at this one? Maybe I'll look at this one. Let's take a look at the winged humanoids. Just about everyone has heard of the red-eyed Mothman, the winged thing that struck terror in the people of Point Pleasant, West Virginia, late 1966 to December 1967. But what about the UK's equivalent of Mothman, the Owlman? How many people may know about them? With those questions in mind, let's take a look at some of these strange things that have been seen in the skies in the UK. We'll begin with a creature that's first surfaced in the summer of 76, is known as Owlman. 76, that dense trees surrounding Menwin, Old Church, Cornwall, England, becomes a veritable magnet for a beast that was Christian, the Owlman. The majority of those people who crossed paths with the creature asserted that it was a human-like both in size and design and possessed a pair of large wings, fiery red eyes, claws, extruded menace. No wonder people make parallels with Mothman. It all began during the weekend of Easter 1976 when 2 young girls, June and Vicky Milling, had an encounter with a truly nightmarish kind of Maryland woods. The girls were on a holiday with their parents when they saw a gigantic feathery bird man hovering over the 13th century church. Yeah, I've seen this story before. 2 14-year-old girls, Sally and Chapman Barbara Perry, also had the misfortune of a run-in with the Owlman in 76 around 10 o'clock p.m. While camping in the woods of Menwin, and they sat outside in their tent making a pot of tea, the pair heard a strange hissing noise. On looking around, they saw the infernal Owlman staring in the direction from a distance about 60 feet. It was like a big owl, pointing ears as big as a man. Their eyes were red and glowing. At first I thought it was just someone dressed up playing a joke, trying to scare us. I laughed at it. We both did. Then it went up in the air and we both screamed. When it went up and you could see its feet, signs of the beast are still occasionally made in the area. A particularly strange story of an unidentified flying beast posted in the newspaper covered the Stirfireshire, England town of Pincock, stated that nothing less than a flying man thing had been soaring over and around the nearby Connaught Chase woods. And now to the heart of the story, 5 locals have contacted the Post after witnessing the figure traveling singly unaided over houses and around 11 o'clock a.m. on Sunday 8th, one described as a Superman moment, a clear case to Chadmere and beyond. Said the newspaper, Mike Leckley added, but eagle-eyed bony hay, Cleve White, but an eagle-eyed bony hill, resident, Bonnie Cleve, believes those who reckon the witness something supernatural are taking a load of kryptonite. Are talking the 68-year-old who spied the flying man from the living room window of his sunny Mead road home believes the pilot was traveling with the aid of a jetpack, a strap-on engine made from a famous 1967 Bond movie. Uh-huh. All right. Elliot O'Donnell was a custom authority, ghosts and life after death, and he penned dozens of books on supernatural phenomena. Born in 1872, he continued writing until his death in 1965 at the age of 93. O'Donnell also had a deep interest in reports of strange creatures. In the following 19th century account from O'Donnell demonstrates Henry Spencer and his Strange Things Amongst Us tells the story of a Captain Morgan, an honorable, righteous gentleman who arrived in London in 1841 and puts up the night in a large old-fashioned hotel. The room in which he slept was full of heavily antique furniture and reminiscent of the old days of King George I, one of the worst periods in English history. For a crime, despite however his grimy, suggestive surroundings, Captain Morgan quickly got into bed and was soon asleep. He was abruptly awakened by the sound of flapping, and looking up, he saw a huge black bird with outstretched wings and fiery red eyes perched on the rail of the foot of the four-poster bed. The creature flew at him and endeavored to pick his eyes. Captain Morgan resisted, and after a desperate struggle, succeeded in driving it to a sofa in the corner of the room, where it settled down and regarded him with great fear in its eyes. Then, determined to destroy it, he flung himself on top of it, when, to his surprise and terror, it immediately crumbled into nothingness. And finally, going way back, and there's the Scotland's River. Flows by the site of a historic April 1746 confrontation, the Battle of Culloden. Scottish lore tells of how on the night before the violent battle began, a huge monstrous bird-like beast was seen flying above the battlefield, known as the Scry. This Mockman-style creature had eyes that blazed red and large and membranous wings like those of a hideous devil bat. The creature was seen as a decidedly ill omen, a precursor to the death and tragedy that loomed on the horizon for the forces of Boney, Prince Charlie, and those of George II. It was a battle that brought to an end what was known as the Jacob Rising. All right. That was interesting. 47 minutes in. We looked at some of those stories. They look very interesting, don't they? Bizarre encounters of Atlantis humanoids in flying suits. We'll take a look at that. Or we could look at the Ninja Flying Monsters, Psychic Backlash. Truly bizarre encounters of sectoid humanoids. Okay, let's look at this. It's a fact. It's a fact that some strange creatures are far from more dangerous than others. Particularly dangerous those creatures that soar over our skies. Not particularly they see us as breakfast, lunch, or dinner, but for reasons of a paranormal nature. We're talking about the tragic deaths and overwhelming bad luck caused by these terrible beasts. Certainly the most well-known. Interesting. By the way, folks, hit that like button for me because it helps me fit the algorithm so more people can see my content. And I can bring you my graphic novel all the sooner with the more people that see my content. You know, my Indiegogo Scum Dogs, my graphic novel, will come to you all the sooner if you get more people to basically subscribe by sharing this video out and subscribe yourselves. So please hit that like button as well. It helps me fit the algorithm so more people can see my content and my graphic novel will come out all the faster. As well as please hit that bell, as well as hit the part of the bell that gives you all future notifications from my videos, as well as please go share this video out on Twitter and Facebook. All right, let's get back to this. Those creatures that soar over skies, not because they see us as breakfast, lunch, or dinner, but for some paranormal nature, but for reasons of a paranormal nature, we're talking about tragic deaths and stuff caused by these terrible beasts. Certainly the most well-known example is the Mothman of Point Pleasant, West Virginia, between late 1966 and December 1967. The people of Point Pleasant, West Virginia, found themselves as a grip of a fear-inducing monster became infamously known as the Mothman. Its name was most apt. The creature was described as being humanoid in form, but with a large pair of dark wings and a pair of eyes that blazed menacingly. Numerous encounters with the beast were reported, all of them creating overwhelming terror in those that crossed its path. People saw the man-beast soaring in the late sky night, and lit up a powerful moon. It chased terrified drivers on the roads around town, and matters all culminated in the collapse of Point Pleasant Silver Bridge, 1967. Dozens of those on the bridge at the time lost their lives, their vehicles plummeting to the churning waters below. Today, there are two prevailing theories: that either the Mockman caused the disaster, or that it's a strange way, or in its own strange way, it tried to warn people. When the tragedy was looming large, the jury is still very much out on that one. Moving on, there is the matter of England's Alamance. It was extensively investigated by the great mate John Downes for his book, The Alamance and Other Oddities, although John himself never personally encountered the red-eyed Mockman, like most of the Commonwealth England. Every time he investigated the creature, its infernal action, John found himself suffering from all manner of physical ailments and runs of misfortune and disaster, to the point where he was forced to walk away from the Alamance investigation and live it alone. As an endeavor to expand on this in his book, There Are Only Fools and Goat Suckers. Tony Shells is probably the most powerful and wisest man that I have ever met. He was the power to summon monsters, although I go looking for them. I would never attempt to emulate him in his invocatory activities, because by the laws of magic, once you cause something to happen, you have to be responsible for its consequences. And while I can deal with the consequences looking around for something like the chupacabra, even of chronicling the activities and drawing some tentative conclusion as to its nature, I cannot take the responsibility for summoning it to appear before me. I like the rabbit of a hat indeed. Like a rabbit out of a hat indeed. I very much doubt whether I have the power to do so. John continued, one thing that I do know about monster hunting is that those who practice it are susceptible to Doc is called psychic backlash. This is a series of inexplicable, horrible outbreaks of bad luck that can overtake the helpless seeker after a monster's truth on its own way. After a monster's truth on its way to his goal. I never believed it. And until during that months, that I was working on my book, The Alamance and others, two of my pet cats died suddenly. The two computers blew up, as did two cars, and my wife left me. It's no surprise that John decided to walk away from the Alamance, which he still avoids the subject to this day. Adding even more winged monster-based weirdness to today's article, the River Nun, Scotland lies the site of historic April 1746. About that monster bird who basically scared the crap out of them. Scared the crap out of and was taken as a bad omen, and basically was there it basically was. Well, the battle basically ended with huge casualties on both sides. So basically, it was basically warning the soldiers about it. Okay. Sorry about that again. It was a mistake. We've been looking at flying humanoid stories, and that's been fun, huh? We'll look at a few more UFO stories before we're out. The multi-witness black triangle sighting of Texas 2008. The first of our recently reported sightings came from over a decade ago. According to the report, the incident occurred on one Saturday when two young brothers were playing their garden. But I want to check that. I want to look at a more recent story. Transparent curved object over Oklahoma, 9th April. Although there is not much known in terms of detail, the apparent sighting of a transparent curved object was captured in the afternoon, April 2014. 2013 in Oklahoma, though the sighting was only recently reported. Okay, that's new. Okay, it's still 2014. I was going for something a little earlier. Let's say rosary-like object, Canada, 25th. Well, in Canada in February. Although it happened back in February, sighting over Ontario, Canada was only recently reported. The incident occurred around 4:30 p.m. on the 25th of February when a local resident ventured outside of their place of work so they could enjoy a cigarette. As they were doing so, they suddenly felt an urge to look upward into the blue sky overhead. When they did, they would notice a very long white object around 1,000 feet moving across the sky. Realizing they were watching something out of the ordinary, they reached for their phone and began to film. When they viewed the footage a short time later, they could see that the object appeared Nicholas-like and almost similar to a rosary. It certainly is an intriguing piece of footage, which you can see below. It's also very interesting. Let's see. Red circle object over Delaware, March 3rd. Or 3rd of March. Another bizarre sign only recently reported. Another bizarre sign only recently reported occurred over Lewis, Delaware. 3rd March, the sighting occurred around 6:30 p.m. on the night of question when a local woman witnessed a strange red object in the sky overhead within a moving car. She managed to capture several pictures of the apparent aerial vehicle, which eventually disappeared. There have been several possibilities suggesting that the light was a red light from the dashboard of the car reflected in the window. You can see the dashboard details, for example. However, the witness is certain that she saw the light with her own eyes. I further claim, and perhaps the correct one, is that all the red lights are in fact a NASA suborbital rocket that launched on the sky on the same day from Walpus Island. You can see, from Walpus Island, huh? Could very well be as well. By the way, folks, hit that like button for me because it really helps me fight the algorithm, as well as please go share this video on social media. Don't worry, folks. You didn't miss much and stuff. I did try to keep up with the chat. All I was doing was reading articles. There were really no real pictures to be taken of, maybe a few of them. Forgot about that. As I said, please go and subscribe to my YouTube channel, Read Comics, They're Bad For You. Remember, the there is misspelled. It's THERE. It's Read Comics, They're Bad For You. Make sure you're still subscribed. Hit that like button for me because it helps me fight the algorithm, okay? So more people can see my content. As well as please go and hit that like button. Please go and hit that bell for me. And hit the part of the bell that gives you all future notifications for my videos, as well as leave some comments down below, as well as share this video on Twitter and Facebook and Gab. And remember, folks, please go and subscribe to Stitch Together Pics. Stitch Together Pics is a YouTube channel hosted by the Maniacal Cinephile. You're going to love his reviews of movies. He plays this character, the Maniacal Cinephile, who has multiple split personality disorder, and you're going to love the various characters he comes up with. They are fun as hell to watch. That's Stitch Together Pics. Go and subscribe to it. As well as please go and subscribe to Creepy Little Book. Creepy Little Book is like the Art Bell radio show. He talks about aliens and ghosts, and he releases small videos every once in a while. He also does live streams every night. He live streams on weekdays at 12:30 a.m. and on weekends at 10 o'clock p.m. and 3 o'clock a.m. So go and subscribe to Creepy Little Book. He talks about aliens and ghosts, and you learn so much from watching his live streams. It's so much fun. All right. Also, let's see what else to talk about. I can't remember. Also, please go over and subscribe to my Rumble channel. Just go to rumble.com, search out Comic Freak. It'll take you to my Rumble channel. Please then go subscribe to me as well. As please go and subscribe to my BitChute channel. Just go over to bitchute.com, search out Comic Freak again. It'll take you to my BitChute channel. Subscribe to it, okay? I upload all my content to those two websites. Okay, what else? We had some fun tonight, didn't we, folks? We had a lot of fun. Remember, I'll be back again tomorrow around 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock, 8 or 10. For another live stream, so be sure to come back again then. And as I was saying, we looked at flying humanoids. We looked at UFO sightings that have been occurring for the last few years. We've been looking at various weird stories and having some fun. So that's been good. We talked about various things that have happened in the sky and the weirdness that happens there. What is with it? Why is this stuff happening? What could go on? Well, whatever it is, it's a lot of fun to read about, isn't it? But what is the answer to this? Are people seeing aliens? Are people seeing ghosts? What is it with these things that are happening in the skies? We've talked about this stuff before and various things that have happened. Planes going down. We see people then basically using some of the debris and other airplanes that they've savaged and seen ghosts. Well, that they've some planes have used salvage from crashed airplanes and stuff like that. And on those airplanes with the salvage, they've seen ghosts. And other planes have had ghosts as well. And what could possibly be the reason for that? But we didn't talk about that tonight. We're just bringing it up but we also seen people deal with aliens and being abducted. So what is the reason for that? What could possibly have happened that would cause all of this? Just give me the subject. We've seen flying humanoids. What is the reason for them? Either way, it's all very entertaining to read. And it very well could be real with aliens and stuff, as well as cryptids. Now, please, folks, please go and subscribe. All right, please, folks, remember, I'm Chris Williams from the Scumdogs Kennel. I'll see you all again tomorrow, okay?